All right. Yeah, now I'm live. All right. So, Edge Team International, this is our first fireside mentoring video broadcast, and we're doing it live. So, there's a couple of topics that I wanted to cover today, or one great theme, and the big part of that theme is as people get going, oftentimes we get into these leadership roles, or become an early silver, or maybe we're stuck at gold, or maybe we're even stuck at diamond, or maybe we're falling back in ranks, and we're kind of wondering why that is. So here's a concept that I'd like to put out there. If you think about phases in your leadership, for example, if let's say there's three distinct levels of leadership, and the first one is when you go out and you're finding people on your own, and so you go out, you recruit people, you're bringing them into your team, you're highly active in some of the fundamental processes, and so let's see, and then say that level 2 is when you start paying attention to your team members, people that are building on your team, and now you've shifted your focus into these people that are building. And so you convey a lot of your personal enrollment activity to your new team members who are enrolling, and you're helping them enroll. And then a level 3 is when you're basically standing back and you're just working with those that are teaching other people how to enroll. Now, as I've looked throughout the network marketing world, and I've looked at people who are big builders in other companies and things like that, one of the ongoing continuous themes is that as a leader, you need to make sure that you're staying a level 1 leader. In other words, that your core of being a professional network marketer is your ability to continue to have that same intensity that you had in the beginning, focused on bringing in your own team members. And almost across the board, many large network marketers also come back and say that as soon as a person gets into level 3 mode, meaning that that their entire focus is just drawn completely back to where they're only paying attention to other people that are training other people, kind of thing, that's the point of stagnation. And in most network marketing companies, that would be the point of death, for example. And it's basically the point in which if your company had a really high attrition rate, really low retention, for example, then that would be the point in which the team starts to erode. Now, here in doTERRA, we're a little bit fortunate because we have a really high retention rate. However, most people will stagnate in their ranks because they move out of that fundamental level 1 process of activity. So if you're in a spot where you still need to progress towards ranks and not just maintain, for example, then the activities that you're engaged in need to shift back to level 1, where you actually engage in a high level in finding your own team. So I kind of have a little bit of a mantra, and that is that I'll find my leaders and you find your leaders. Now I can help you in that process. I can bring credibility to the table. I can bring a number of other things. But my core focus is the identification and integration of my own leaders. And so that's the first concept. So if you think of this as leader level 1, 2, and 3, you need to, as a leader, especially as a rising leader in these early leadership ranks where you still need a lot of momentum to push yourself up to upper levels, is you have to make sure that you're not falling down into those categories of just maintenance or management, so to speak, but that you're maintaining control of your own fundamental enrollment activities. Now here's a couple of things. Now it boggles my mind why anybody would want to quit, for example. You know, they get in, and periodically there's even silvers and maybe even a gold or two that would quit, or even a platinum or a diamond, and I think, what in the world are you thinking? Because here's the reality: to stop is to fundamentally not understand certain laws that affect the growth of your business. For example, Jim Rohn introduces the concept of if you do something long enough, a ratio arrives, right? And so that's from Jim Rohn. And so if you think about that, what that basically means that if you talk to enough people, somebody eventually enrolls, right? And if you enroll enough people, somebody eventually builds, right? And if you have enough builders, eventually somebody leads like a rock star, right? And so now I've kind of looked into it, and I've started to realize, and I've heard this statistic, I've heard this ratio, that a rock star shows up about 1 in every 25 personal enrollments, okay? Now, fundamentally, I just gave you a secret there that if you understood it, then there's no reason to fail, okay? Now, the other thing that I've done is I've talked to several other major leaders in doTERRA, and I've asked how many personal enrollments have they had. And this 1 to 25 is basically a pretty accurate number. And I've looked at it and I thought, okay, so if you need to go silver, for example, then and you want a really solid silver organization that's going to advance to platinum. So, for example, you can go silver with some people that will hold a full order, right? And you can add enrollments other, you can build the volume, and if anyone's doing anything, you can get in the line to elite. But to get those lines to silver, the person at the top of that really needs to be a pretty highly engaged individual. They have to have a dream of where doTERRA is taking them in the future. And so in that regard, that particular person would be behind 25 personal enrollments, okay? And so a platinum, for example, would probably be behind a really solid platinum with 3 rock star leaders, for example, would probably be behind about 75 personal enrollments. And a diamond, for example, would probably, a really solid diamond with 4 rock star leaders, would typically be behind 100 personal enrollments, okay? And a presidential diamond, for example, and here's where the exponential growth kind of makes sense, right? Because there's a massive delta between going diamond and going blue diamond and going presidential diamond. The size of the organizations are incrementally, staggeringly different between these ranks, okay? But the irony is the leadership equation is not. So whereas to go diamond, I might have 100 personal enrollments to have a really solid diamond organization led by rock stars, for example. To go blue diamond is 25 more enrollments, but it's exponentially greater leadership. And so presidential diamond is about 150 personal enrollments. And so again, this brings it back to why and how to advance through these ranks. And this would be the fundamental beginning or stepping stones to that process, is that you have to maintain activity in the level 1 area. And in our world, that would be called the 631. And we'll talk about that on another video. But if you, so I just want you to think about it that way. If I'm progressing, am I looking at the 1 in 25 ratio? Or am I just trying to piece it together with a handful of personal enrollments? Or am I giving away enrollments or different to try to make things happen? Or am I thoroughly just processing my own network, my own lead sources, my own personal enrollments to identify highly capable people? And so that's my tip for today. So if you're in the early level leadership especially, you need to really make sure that your core priorities are on your personal enrollments. and that you're thinking about those 1 in 25 to identify the rock star. Okay? All right. So I hope you enjoyed this first little fireside mentoring, and our goal, and we're gonna put it out there, is to have 3 million team members by 2025, with 1,000 individuals that have been risen up into financial self-reliance, which should basically be diamond ranks. Okay, so that's our stated goal by 2025. In order to do that, of course, we need everybody to understand fundamentally how to grow a business and how to evolve as a leader. And so that's what we're here to help you do. All right, so we'll wish you all a very happy and successful week. We'll talk to you next time.